A truncated race tonight at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the RaceKraft V8 Veterans Championship. Let's just say we're racing to get this event in before the weather or the storm or something like that. It's going to be an even more petite 150 kilometers of racing tonight live on SimSpeed TV. RaceKraft V8 Vets is in its 24th season. This is the iRacing Supercars Championship for drivers over the age of 40 with the Chevrolet Camaro and the Ford Mustang. Live on SimSpeed TV, David Haynes with Daniel Yeaman. So we have to get things done quickly tonight. They're in their qualifying right now with the race not too far away. This is beautiful Road Atlanta.
Certainly is, David. Thank you for being here once again, and thank you everyone for joining us here for the second week and second round of this new championship season as we head into what we call this sort of just outside of Atlanta, up the road a bit there from the capital of Georgia, and find ourselves in some very nice territory indeed in this sort of southwest. It's not obviously Florida south, but it's not Midwest or anything like that, so I can't think of the right words to place it here in America. But this is a great track. We know it internationally for the Petit Le Mans, but it's seen plenty of use here virtually with these supercars in various shapes and forms. So this is no surprise to see them back here tonight.
It's ready to check you on this, but I'll be damned. The capital of the state of Georgia is Atlanta. That's never how they do it. Capital of New York isn't New York City, it's Albany. But no, they're on it here in Georgia and at Road Atlanta. Really tight, exciting little track. Elevation change through the S's at 3, 4, climbing back up through 5. Massive downhill braking zone at turns 10A and 10B is an exciting place to watch. And there'll just be one compulsory pit stop tonight that'll need them to use that pit lane, where there are 51 pit stalls and a speed limit of 72 kilometers an hour.
Well, there you go. We're not using all of those pit stalls tonight, even with the manual safety cars and the large field that is present for Vets, David. But I'll keep that in note. I'm seeing a total of 44 drivers in the session, and that's 44 drivers who I believe should be in the session. So we haven't had the moment of someone joining the wrong server tonight. But let's quickly sort of reflect back on what happened last week, and, well, surprise, surprise, Jordan Ross, back-to-back two-time champion of the V8 Vets, is on top once again after the opening round, so looking good for him at this stage.
Sean McNamara, Wayne Walker, Paul Young, Scott Mackay, Troy Stonestreet, Matt Vanderkraan, Ken Latta, Dean Logsdale, and Mike Talyancic completing the top 10 at the moment, but that's after just one round of this championship, heading into round 2 right now. That is a nice lead for Jordan Ross, picking up a couple of the bonus points also on offer around fastest laps and minimal incidents, gives himself just a little bit of a buffer to second place. Tonight's racing will be 37 laps, 150 kilometers with a 1-hour time limit due to iRacing maintenance that is scheduled. That means that to be a classified finisher, 75% of today's race distance is 28 laps. And the starting fuel, 50 litres for everyone, with a tank capacity capped at 70%. Typical fuel burns just over 3 litres a lap. The total fuel drop is going to be somewhere around the low 70s of litres. And there's just one compulsory pit stop tonight, with the window opening at the end of lap 2, with an asterisk based on if there's a safety car called before the leader gets to the line on lap 1, giving us a pit window of lap 8 to 16. We got a graph of that. This is it. It's a pretty simple pit window, all things considered. You're looking at one stop, probably between critical lap number 9 and lap number 15. So 9 to 15 is sort of where we're looking at as our pit window.
Some drivers maybe fuel save a bit, but I don't see them fuel saving on the long run to kind of coming in on lap 8, barring a safety car in and around that point where it makes it feasible. Maybe drivers stretch and save to lap 16, but to do that, David, you've got to save 0.19 litre fuel every single lap to make that work. So whether you can do that and stay on pace would be an important question, because you are going to drop that 20-odd seconds just transiting the pits, let alone the near 30 seconds based on my numbers to actually stop in your box and take the fuel required to get home. I think whilst I'm talking about that, mentioned there, compulsory pit stop rules. So, as you said, 1 pit stop tonight is required, and both on fuel and compulsory. Normally, though, it's 2, so this is a bit of an exception to the rule that's had to be implemented via supplementary regulations. But for those who haven't seen a V8 Vets race before or read the rules, this is what a CPS entails. Coming into the pits under your own power, and then coming to a stop in your box and going up on the jacks and taking service. And that important asterisk, as you noted there, if we get a safety car on lap 1, that will invalidate or delay the beginning of the CPS window, David.
Yes, indeed. So we've got our reigning Chubby Buns Burgers driver of the day from the opening round. And we're going to go to that now, aren't we?
We sure are.
It was Matty Mascord, new driver to top split of RaceKraft V8 Vets, moving through the fields in the opening round. 19 positions gained and a very, very solid debut from Mascord, who joins us again tonight. We've got a Zoom wall of drivers that we're going to be taking a look at throughout tonight's racing. We'll have just a super quick look, get everyone getting ready, lining up on the grid. The Dino Dyno is at 95 BPM right now. Ken Ladd has had a big day, no doubt. But let's get to that grid, because that's where the drivers are right now, ready for the Petsy 150 from Road Atlanta for RaceKraft V8 Vets. Jordan Ross is the pole sitter. Mike Talyancic just a tenth of a second behind him. Darren Lobb, Sean McNamara, Scott Gamble and Logan Barnett making up the first 3 rows of the grid. There we find Matt Vanderkraan, Ken Latta, Paul Young, Wayne Walker, Michael Stewart and Stacey Boyd. Behind them is Wayne Sanderson and Troy Stonestreet, Andrew Rushworth and Christopher Burridge, Mark Poynton and Scott Mackay. Then Stewie Hall, Michael Whiting, David Nash, Travis Hunt, Stephen Grumley, and the Dino Dyno himself there. 24th on the grid, Dean Flavel. Jeff Thomas, Shad Lewis, Damian Cairns, David Kirby, Stephen Clark, and Sean Vandermeulen as the top 30 after a 3-lap qualifying. Then Jip Caparonis, Luke Allman, Ricky Hyde, Dan Hall, Steve Kennedy, and Matty Mascord starts from 36th. Other drivers that set qualifying times and are present tonight: John Gallen, Matt Brunt, Gary Buckland, Greg Sharp, Ben Morris, and Christian Smart. The last driver that set a qualifying time was Ray Smith, and Scott McCune may race but didn't set a qualifying time. 44th and no better.
A long grid here tonight to worry about, folks. So, going to be an exciting one here, I'm sure.
We have a quick look at 40th. Where is 40th starting from in this standing start?
Certainly, we have just enough time to do that. Greg Sharp, the man out of P40. Let's go to him here.
Almost up underneath the Fox Factory Bridge. 10-second warning. In effect, these cars towards the tail of the grid will be starting on a significant downhill. Ray Smith's going to be on the tabletop, but it's Synergy, Sim Racing, Ford Mustangs on the front row. Jordan Ross and his teammate Mike Talyancic with the green flag about to wave. 37 laps and 150 kilometers of Road Atlanta is underway with a poor start for Talyancic. A great launch for Darren Lobb, also being followed by Sean McNamara. Good work from the pole sitter Jordan Ross, but his teammate getting swamped on the run down towards turn 1. Off at the outside of the sweeping uphill, Darren Lobb and Sean McNamara are going to try to have him off before they get to turn 3. going single file. Lob gets ahead. Talyancic slots into third. Ken Latta moves up into seventh ahead of Matt Vanderkraan. Not everyone getting away perfectly well, and a lot of smoke in the air as they try to go 3 wide over the blind crest at turn 3, deeper in the field. Oh, out in the weeds, a couple of the drivers, including that could be Gallen. Oh, and there's Dan Hall.
Heavens, but Stewie Hall going up on his side there, and Stephen Clark, the Sandman, new for this season and as well, also entangled in all of this. They're the last 2 runners on the circuit now. They have got going, so it looks like we will stay safety car for. Yes, he's just calling to report that in. So we'll go back to a replay of that when we can, David, when things calm down. But everyone moving, the race will stay green.
The drivers losing the most positions out of that: Chad Lewis, Mark Poynton, Dan Hall, Stephen Grumley, Stephen Clark, and Stuart Hall. Some of them losing out big time. So it was right in the middle of the field, around about position 20 or so, that all of that kicked off heading over the hill. First lap completed, and it's a perfect one from Jordan Ross. Mike Talyancic with a tiny bit of work left to do in this one. Compulsory pit stop window opens, but our understanding of the strategy suggests that no, we are not at the critical lap yet, and it's just 1 CPS, so expecting everyone to go to about lap 9 or so.
Yeah, if you come in now, you aren't going to be able to make it home on fuel without several safety cars to save your way there. So, yeah, without a doubt, you need to factor that in mind. As up and over the hill we go, along this back stretch, out of turn 5 to turn 6. And just have a quick look at the zoom wall tonight. There are more people we didn't get the chance to see. Hang on, let's just try and get my head around how many we've got. But a full page there. Or did I say just stretch the wall? This is stretch the wall, make it bigger. So I'm counting 18 drivers with us tonight. We were missing, I think, 4 or 5 of them. I'll try and get the zoom wall up again if we can, folks, just to put them all in frame, because it's a ridiculously large number of drivers, once again, aiming for that bonus point that's on up for grabs.
So see Scott Mackay, Michael Whiting there, Travis Hunt, these drivers that were at the tail of the field but have got going. Chad Lewis is working his way back through the field, moving past Ben Morris. Dan Hall also looking to do similar. Mark Points and David Nash we're looking at right here. Back going, but 19 spots back from where he started. Dan Hall goes down the inside of turn 1. I think very comfortably gets that done, but then goes a little wide on the exit. We've got side-by-side headed towards turn 3, and a handful of them shooting past Ben Morris. So Poynton goes back past, and now David Nash sits in behind, heading towards the S's. Tough spot to be. Can't really overtake here. You're looking to set up a good exit out of turn 5 here. Morris just gets a little bit of dirt there, and a switch to the inside for 6. David Nash looks to go down the inside. Bit of damage on the front left there, is there? Or is it just the paint for Morris?
I think you're right in calling that damage. As our first decision of the night from race controls come through. And it's not going to be good news for David Nash here on screen. He's been penalised for the incident that ended up tripping up Stewie Hall. So that's, there we go, top of the screen now. I probably should also, yep. Let's go have a look at that real quick on our first replay of the night, David, and try and get through them whilst drivers circulate around on track to understand what happened there.
So here we are. He's got Stewie Hall in front, gets a tag on Stewie Hall, heading into turn 3. Then we're 3 wide, and I think there's damage on Hall as he snaps that way, and then who sends him on his lid? It'll be those wheels interlocking right there with the fishy car.
So that was Christian Smart's car that it entangled with. Righto. So that's how everyone else got entangled. Separate to that, somewhat. No, actually, that's everything on lap 1. Then a lap later for David Nash, turn 7, rear lets go of him there. A little too much power onto the backstretch.
And then the group, Scott Mackay and others, not Scott Mackay, someone else in that cart goes by. There's that group of drivers now heading down in towards turn 10. Whiting just backing out here. Ricky Hyde with the meatball flag. In lap 5 with Jordan Ross still in the lead, finally putting a little bit of time between himself and Darren Lobb, and then a whole group of drivers from third place. McNamara getting past Mike Teliancic now, so even if it didn't happen on lap 1, eventually Teliancic succumbing and Sean McNamara going ahead.
What happened back there? Paul Young, Matt Vanderkraan have almost gotten wheels locked at turn 7. So Young now under assault from Wayne Walker, who will happily go up the inside there. Take that place, David. I just wanted to quickly show this here. This is the full zoom wall for tonight. Just to get those last couple of extra faces in. So spot them all. We'll try and get to you all, folks, but we've also only got another 30 laps to do it. So it's going to be a rapid fire zoom action, I think, is going to have to be the name of the game to feature everyone.
So Wayne Walker now up 2 spots to 8th position, having started 10th. Moves ahead of Paul Young. Michael Stewart looking like he could close in on that as well. Vanderkraan lost a few, as we spoke about, coming out of turn 7. He runs in 11th with Boyd in 12th. Deeper through the fields, looking at most positions gained, it is Ray Smith, who was the last driver with a qualifying time, memory serves. And John Gallen, Greg Sharp, Matt Brunt and Sean Vandermeulen.
John O'Gallen here, he's one of our drivers on Zoom tonight, so here's what it looks a little bit from his perspective out there on track right now. Let's see, is he focused? I'd say he's focused.
A lot happening right there, but also a lot happening for John Gallen. 10 positions gained from 37th on the grid. Just a couple laps away from the theoretical pit stop window opening up, but it'll still be a long run from there to get home. He goes through turn 1. Only a curb at 2 to then switch back and fly over the crest at 3. Setting yourself up for the changes of direction through the S's and towards turn 5. Following Luke Allman at the moment, who I noticed was also on the Zoom wall.
Sounds like we might want to get him on then. Give it just a moment.
Go. Lots of gear indicator happening right there, but nothing on the top monitor. No timing happening for Luke Allman right there. Runs in 26th at the moment. Leader starts lap 8. These drivers coming out of the final corner to begin lap 8.
Who else has made big moves from pit rounds? Greg Sharp, another driver who's a regular to Zoom. Oh, where is Greg? There he is, actually a little further. And another driver who's done a manufacturer conversion over the off season. Have to say, we're used to seeing Greg run around in the Camaro WKMP, this was Camaro paint job, but tonight looking a little different on display here with the WKMP Mustang issue. It's also with us again on Zoom tonight, and a slightly different look from his camera this week.
Tell you what, it doesn't look cold.
Very true.
It's what we can glean from Greg Sharp. He's just behind Matthew Brunt, just ahead of Steve Kennedy.
Some Synergy Sim Racing fans in the chat tonight as well. Well, maybe it's just Brady Baldwin. I'm not sure which exactly. But he's pointing out Matt Brunt here, who's also one of our bigger movers. Actually might be in that top 5 at this stage still. Yes, he doesn't need. He would be the next driver we would have looked at. And then, yeah, Mr. Van der Meulen, who we've already had a quick look. Actually, no, we wouldn't have had a quick look at him yet. Up here to 22nd. I think I just saw a bit of opposite lock from Greg Sharp.
And he just dropped down our positions gained board as well, and this is why a few drivers going past Greg Sharp. He might have been hit.
He's calling something in about it.
He's still battling it out with Kennedy, who I think is the driver that was behind him. He was behind Brunt, but he's gone a little wide out of 10B. Dan Hall and a few others will look to get down the inside, like Mark Poynton. Here's Kennedy looking to the inside of 6. Tiny bit of contact there in a slide. And then, oh, yeah, we go into 7.
He's just a little wide again. So that's what that was there for Greg. Just a reset in 34th place. Jump up the front to show that things are looking very calm and orderly for one Jordan Ross. 2.6 ahead now of Darren Lobb in second. The battle is very much with third place at the moment. There's Greg Sharp on the radio once again.
So from the Sharp end of the field to the Greg of the Sharp. There's more dramas going on for him.
On that night, he will take the opportunity to go to the pit lane and get some service done, possibly. Maybe try the long play, although it's a long stop to fill the car up from here. He's not the only one, though. Stewie Hall's in at the end of lap 10 for them. Update from race control. Points penalty, which would be obviously affect the post-race results, going to go the way of Steve Kennedy for the contact, bump and run, how you may call it, with Greg Sharp. as there you
Got a couple of
go.
pit callers now with that pit window. We're right in the middle of it. So early takers Scott Gamble and Ken Latta come into the pit lane. Relatively high in the running order. They've got a long run down the pit lane to find their crew. Scott Gamble finds his and is going to fuel that thing to get all the way to the end. Ken Latta likewise is in his box. Sean Vandermeulen's rolling down and has found his. Also had Greg Sharp, Steve Grumley and Stuart Hall stop last lap. They were running a little deeper in the field. Not a little deeper in the earth, trust me. They were on the surface of it. But Gamble and Latta from inside of the top 10 relatively early can be seen as a bit of a surprise. And the speed of Ken Latta's pit stop compared to Gamble could be seen as a bit of a surprise. Has jumped him on the lane, jumped him on the pit exit. That's a position gained for Latta and could be even more important with a tyre undercut compared to the rest of the competition running a little bit longer.
So they can run to the end of lap 15. If they want to try and save, they'd be then looking to get to lap 16. So that's going to be interesting to note here, I dare say, because overcuts can be favourable. Usually they are. But if you can get track position here with this undercut, which you should, be able to do so on fresher tyres. Just watch to see here. Will these two fight, or are they going to be able to stay nose to tail, work together here?
So over the crest of the hill and then with a little kink towards the braking zone. No defence at all offered by Ken Latta. Scott Gamble looks down the inside. Gets in a little bit hot there. At the change of direction, you then need to be well placed for the traction over the crest. Ken Latta's done a little bit better, but Scott Gamble will take that spot. Hold on. A few other cars in the lane. Michael Whiting, Damien Cairns, David Nash. These guys are going to go past them by the looks of things. Yeah, absolutely they are. Michael Whiting just leaving his pit box now, so we'll be behind Gamble and Latta.
Okay, so it's important to note there developments of that fight.
Plenty of other fights all through the field at this point, for 3rd, for 10th, for 14th, for 17th, for 21st, and yeah, pretty serious one for 24th as well. A couple of other spots will change hands as Christopher Burridge and Scott Mackay come into pit. This is the rush for service. Luke Allman back there as well. Mark Poynton somewhere. Yep, heading up to his pit stall.
Appears to have decided he's had some magic transit through the lane. So it's not quite the case. He is actually...
I think he stopped in the wrong spot.
It's a possibility. Then again, technology is also a thing.
Travis Hunt and Andrew Rushworth as race leader Jordan Ross comes into the pit lane. Travis Hunt's looking down the inside of 10A for the driver to make a manufacturer switch, and a pretty serious livery switch has gone along with it as well. But he makes that move happen, and a lot of other drivers, as we expected, towards the end of lap 15, heading into pit lane. So Darren Lobb and Sean McNamara following Jordan Ross. I think most importantly is who's still out. It's Mike Taliancic, Wayne Walker, Matt Vanderkraan, Stacey Boyd, and this driver, this car, Travis Hunt as well, saving a little bit in the first stint, extending this one lap longer and closer to the midpoint of the race with the low starting fuel. It puts the sort of pit window in the relative early phase of the race and could be a long stint to get home from those who stopped early, and a slightly shorter stint to get home from Travis Hunt here, adjusting the mustache on what we expect to be his in-lap.
Well, this is the last lap at full push. You can come in. If you go any longer than this lap, you've been saving fuel this opening stint, and therefore done yourself a bit of a solid there, because you'll be able to take that 3 odd litres less fuel, trim that stop up, and also be on the best tyres of the field, even if it is by just the 1 lap.
It's a bit of lap downery just in front of him. I think the battle is David Nash and Ben Morris for 40th. And indeed it is David Nash trying to get ahead. Ben Morris swapping back to the inside. I was looking like that's not the battle for 3rd and 4th in front of him. It's indeed the battle between Nash and Morris. And this is everyone else coming into the pit lane. So Mike Talyancic was the highest running car to have stayed out. Travis Hunt ended up 5th of that pack, followed in by others like Chad Lewis and Gary Buckland and John Gallen, expecting Jordan Ross to come back through to the lead of the race, but he won't, because what is this pit stop time from Darren Lobb? It's got to be a mistake. It's a massive outlier compared to everyone else in the field. Change the last pit stop lap to pit stop time in the timing column or something if you can, because Darren Lobb has tried to make a 2-stop race out of this.
I suspect he might have. This was a last-minute amendment. Well, it was made about 6 hours before race start this afternoon. Once it was advised that iRacing was going to be coming down on this evening and preventing us from running a regular 200k race, or at least the scheduled 200k race tonight. I'm starting to get the feeling, David, yes, that Darren Lobb here might not have realised, because you don't underfuel yourself by 9 seconds intentionally.
Trying to see if there's anyone else. No. Just Darren Lobb.
And not so much the pit stop time, but for Ricky Hyde. And time is kind of
stopped early because of the meatball flag, so stopped before the critical lap number, and by damage, I think forced into a 2-stop race.
Yeah. Anything less than 29, 28 seconds is a problem, in that it's going to be short on fuel by my numbers to be able to make it in the pit window. So, yeah, Ricky Hyde is going to have to owe us another stop at some point in this race, and by our numbers, Darren Lobb will have to do the same as well.
So the early stop for Scott Gamble and Ken Latta may have worked. Latta's just ahead of Logan Barnett, who was ahead of him before all of the pit stop cycle began. Wayne Walker just behind them in 8th as well. So Latta might look to hold on, but I think Logan Barnett looking very, very quick and looking to jump ahead in the run down in towards turn 10. But we're going to ride on board with Scott Gamble instead.
Well, you mentioned that, but I'm a flexible man, David. And indeed, it's not done at 10A or 10B, but Logan Barnett is looking more comfortable and confident behind the wheel at the moment. So he's not going to be there for turn 1 this time, though. But he is sniffing around, looking for a gap, trying to find a way past the Fishy Motorsports Camaro of Ken Latta, and still threatening up to turn 3, but you won't get through from that position.
Latta ran just a little bit wide there, so Logan Barnett's going to keep the pressure on towards turn 5, and then if you get a good run out of 5, you pressure them into 6 and 7, and you get a better run than them off 7. You try to pass into turn 10 again. It's just 4 kilometers around here at pretty high average speed. So laps come around quick and fast. You can try to set them up from one lap to the next just by keeping that kind of pressure on. A little bit of curb from both. Square exit from Barnett. You're trying to progress forwards at Ken Latta. Wayne Walker just behind. There is Ken Latta, a little bit more rugged up than we've seen him previous months.
Yeah, it's been, well, I guess it depends on when you're part of the... Now, I think Ken's from up north of me in Victoria. I feel like I might even have this information on hand for me somewhere if I went and dug it out.
I read the spreadsheet last week, but I don't have it in front of me right now.
Well, I've got enough spare screens that, well, I'll cover things up, but at the same time it can also be worth figuring this out.
I don't know what in this spreadsheet is meant to be public information.
Fair point. I'm just thinking maybe, let's have a look.
It would suggest if he's north of you in Victoria, he's very north of you. So far north as to be in Queensland.
Yeah, that sounds about right from memory. I didn't actually find the sheet, as it turns out. I've stashed it away somewhere. Oh, hello! It's Ben Morris.
Yeah, he was battling with Nash previously, and now goes the lap down. He's missing some bits. There's meant to be more rear bumper to that for Ben Morris, and there's massive damage for David Nash further around the racetrack. That's the final corner. That engine is kaput. It's going nowhere. Darren Lobb, the race leader right now, still owes us a pit stop, but we don't think anyone else in the field does. What are race control going to do? The only thing they can do in this circumstance, we are going to go safety car at Road Atlanta for the stricken car of David Nash simultaneously. Significant amount of damage to Ben Morris, and we'll untangle all of it as we head to the safety car. Is this good or bad for Darren Lobb?
I'd say quite good, actually.
I think it's bad because everyone else is going to stay out, and he'll go to the tail of the field on a compacted restart instead of having a splash and dash and coming out in 18th.
But the thing is, right, everyone right now isn't required to slow down. So Pit Transit Delta is 20-odd seconds, plus the 10-odd seconds. He should come out somewhere between Chris Burridge and Travis Hunt. So he would actually still come out, call it 17th, 18th if the stop's a bit sloppy and he ends up around where Andrew Rushworth is.
I think I'm just interested to see if anyone who's already made their compulsory pit stop just wants to set tyres on, yeah. So for Darren Lobb, this might help him out a fair bit. We'll see as he comes in. So maybe you're thinking, yeah, 15th, 16th, 17th, but in a compacted field behind the safety car.
Just through goes
too much for Lobb. But he's got such a short fuel fill, he probably won't even take tyres.
Well, so that's one of the things I'm thinking here. Take the tyres to cover the refill. He just hits his box now.
This looks like it would be tyres.
Yeah, so get a fresh set of boots on it. Top it up to make it home. And look to see him pop out of the pit lane. Right on cue. P15, actually a little better than I thought.
Field just started to slow up a little bit as well there. You could see that Scott Mackay wasn't at complete racing speed, and maybe Burridge and Travis Hunt weren't. So that's everyone's compulsory pit stops done. We're going to compress behind the safety car, and inside of the top 10, Ken Latta will be the biggest mover, up 2 spots from 7th on the grid. His early and quick pit stop paying off, and that quick pit stop won't come back to bite him because everyone now will be saving fuel behind this safety car. So if Latta was a little bit short compared to some others, that should save his bacon just a little bit.
Yep, handily resolved indeed. Now, the question of Ben Morris, David Nash. What on earth happened between these two?
Or did it happen between them? Were they separate?
Couple of things.
The first place to look. Okay. Oh, that's Ben Morris, and that's how he took the rear off his Camaro.
So I'm going to presume then, if I was to flick through some more incidents with him.
Well, Nash was ahead of him, and Nash crashed in the final corner. So
Indeed.
Totally different part of the racetrack. Here we go. David Nash on his own under the bridge. Is it going to be the curb? Is it going to be, whoa, weird on the curb and nose in there in the final corner? That's odd. Hey, it's like he gets the curb on throttle and he steers into the slide. It snaps back the other way. You've had a couple of other drivers pit behind the safety car with the safety car timing as well. So Greg Sharp, Michael Whiting, and Matt Brunt pretty deep in the field look like they've all gone to cover off their stops. Stephen Clark, the Sandman, with a meatball right now.
Oh, no. Indeed he does.
The front left is down.
How's that happen, Sandman?
Is this a checkup under safety car?
I'm starting to think
this has happened.
This could be. We have him on Zoom.
Or is it cold tires on the outlap? No.
We have him on Zoom again this week. I just want to quickly see. I can't see anything. That's a stoic face, if ever I call one, despite the incident.
That's a man who's driven a three-wheeled wagon once or twice before. We'll find out what happened. To the front left for Stephen Clark. Didn't stop under this safety car.
Oh, no checkup.
Here he is.
I saw a checkup coming!
Should have smelt that one, surely. I mean, the onboard is going to tell us, okay, so we're accelerating, we're at speed. Brake lights on every car heading over the crest. I'm sorry, Sandman, but the brakes are on that car in front of you for a long time before you hit it.
Oh, it just makes you think, was he looking at
He was looking somewhere else.
Yeah,
he was looking at fuel numbers.
Fuel, tyres, the black box.
He was feeding the cat. He was patting his head and rubbing his tummy, and he's pretty filthy with himself, I think, actually.
Okay, yeah. There's the moment that we were looking for, in a sense. All right. We'll leave Sandman be.
Don't text and drive.
As you can see there, the safety car is heading away from the field, and we'll be back in the hands of Jordan Ross very shortly to resume the race.
It'll be 15 to go. So McNamara has been a big winner out of this. Elevating himself up in a second. Mike Teljancic in a third. Darren Lobbs restarting down in 15th place as perhaps the wild card for these final couple of laps. Definitely looks like he put new tyres on as well. Well, they're 7 laps old for the leader, 10 laps old for Scott Gamble. A lot of drivers in the top 10, despite the cool temperatures, might not have as much grip as Darren Lobb has out of 15th. Jordan Ross leads them to turn 1. With McNamara, Teljancic, Gamble, Ladder, Barnett, Wayne Walker, Paul Young, Michael Stewart, and Matt Vanderkrant as the top 10. Tyres will have cooled off behind the safety car for everyone. The sun's shining down and they light them up once again.
Working their way down the S's here. Glorious bunch of corners that all have no number in the continuing quirks of American racetracks that don't number quite naturally. As for a moment, Logan Barnett was on the back bumper of Ken Ladder, but now he's got Wayne Walker looking a little closer to attention here in that one. As to the back straight we come once again at race pace. Darren Lobb already picked up a spot on this restart. Yeah, he's up to 14th now, and I think he is very much eyeing off Stacey Boyd's position here. You know, one of our international, at least internationally hailing drivers, as doors open for Darren. He doesn't need too much more of an invitation, but not quite done yet, David.
No, it's not that easy because the traction out of that is so important. But onto the front straight here. Can you deny this kind of pace? It'll be a new front left tyre that's going to give Darren Lobb so much confidence into turn 1. Braking, turning, carrying the speed up the hill, and he does move up a spot. Darren Lobb goes to 13th. Jordan Ross sets a new fastest lap of the race on that restart lap. So his tyres have cooled off and he's given it the full beans. No need to save fuel for almost anyone in this field now as well with that safety car.
Van der Meulen dropping back, out of position down the S's. Settles back in line at 26th.
A battle on here. Dan Hall's 9 positions gained in this race. Just saw him pop ahead of Van der Meulen. Luke Allman just behind as Van der Meulen wobbled a little bit heading into the braking zone for 7. Traction so important. It's just all about the traction out of that slow corner. I'm going to take a guess. Slowest corner on the racetrack, probably, or pretty close. And that's the insult to the injury. Points penalty for contact under safety car going to Stephen Clark for the contact with Sharp. Plenty of tyre smoke, lock up in the air, turn 10A and 10B. They do drifting here. That puts a lot of smoke into the air in this part of the racetrack, but that's not what it is today.
No, we're not looking to get the cars out sideways and burn the rubber down intentionally. It's certainly a byproduct of these kinds of cars. We're probably even a couple of 100 horsepower short for what they'd like to see in the drift arenas. And yes, that fascinating configuration and the loop that they use and the way that they choose to double back on themselves. Some of the highlight videos and snippets I watch when I'm doom scrolling reels and the like, it's just like challenging little layout. I've got to get it really slowed up for that part of the circuit, and then you have to drive back through your own tyre smoke. Like, you couldn't ask for much more difficult beyond extreme high speed, I guess.
The run on to the back straight again, and there is a big pack from Caperonis in 23rd, basically to Greg Sharp in 39th. It's all this sort of group. Dan Hall looking to make more moves again, just in behind Matty Mascord, the Chubby Bunsberger's driver of the day from a week ago. Sort of, oh, do I get down the inside of Caperonis? Caperonis gets so deep into the first part, out of position in the second part. Dan Hall's tried to crisscross the both of them, and he's going to get down the inside of Mascord, heading into the final corner. That's easy flat out in GT cars, but a tough ask for these cars, as we've seen for David Nash tonight.
Yep. Even in these optimal conditions, a handful at the best. Well, a handful, quite simply put. There's a down the hill we come, loading up the left side, then the right side, back to the left again. There's for Dan Hall running a very non-standard paint job. If you can't quite read what it says because it's using a gothic style of text, thou shalt not kill teammates. Thou shalt not hit teammates, sorry. I literally read this out beforehand because we're trying to make sense of it. You can probably see it there through turn 7. Nice inside shot, really shows off the door nicely. However, we can't quite piece together, was that something from last week that we missed, or is there something bigger at play which wasn't on our screens that we should have paid attention to? Alas, Darren Lobb, meanwhile, up another place. He's now
just
in
one past
12th.
Wayne Sanderson. Got a bit more to find to get to Troy Stone Street and others. There's Sanderson. Now 13th ahead of Stacey Boyd, Scott Mackay and Burridge. Jordan Ross 2.2 seconds clear. Just so rapid in his one lap pace to constantly put it on pole, but then also in these situations with the restart, breaking out that little bit of a gap that he needs, approaching 10 laps to go ahead of McNamara. Can they aim for a 1-2 kind of lockout there? Talyancic remains pretty close to McNamara.
Meanwhile, I just want to look a little further down the order, and again, I'm trying to cycle through our Zoom participants tonight and try and get them all at least once. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a bit of Guess the Dino Dyno, I suggest. Okay, 110 for David Haynes. Anyone else on chat want to take part tonight before I put it up on screen with 10 laps to go here at Road Atlanta? Is in a bit of a rhythm in P20. Have I got any takers looking to match 110? I'll give it a couple more seconds just in case someone responds and I'm a bit fast on it. No, it would appear not. Well, David, you were under, then you were right, and now apparently Dean's really pushing it through the last sector there because he's it's really getting the heart pumping through turn 1, apparently.
I see. And he runs 20th right now, started out of 20th as well. Find David Kirby in ahead of Damien Cairns. So apparently the S's, yeah, easy, but the braking zone at 10, mighty stressful on the dyno.
I was going to say, yeah, of everyone in this server tonight, just count this up, 2, 3, 4. I have, out of our 43 drivers, 5 of them haven't gained or lost places to this point in time. No surprises. You can see actually 3 of them on the tower in the top 15. Jordan Ross, who's apparently decided he just needs to keep on pushing with 9 laps to go. Logan Barnett holding down P6 appears to have maybe lost a bit of the head of steam in battle up behind Ken Latta and Scott Gamble. Checking him in for a moment earlier, Wayne Sanderson, Southern Cross Racing, is also unmoved from 13th place, which is a good sign, although he'll miss the apex at turn 3 and nearly make me eat my words for it. Chris Burridge is the 4th, just behind on the back of this group now in the M1 Racing Camaro there, with those, well, clashing
Wheels.
Clashing, but does it work or will we not work really at the end of the day? Wheels.
I don't know colour theory, except to say I don't feel like it's a complementary or matching pair.
And unfortunately for Ben Morris, he's the 5th and final car who has not gained or lost positions to this point in the race so far, which for him is a bit of a rough 41st in this one.
Eight laps to go. The battle to be on the podium is Sean McNamara versus Mike Teliancic, Scott Gamble, Ken Latta. Safety car seems to have done really good work for Ken Latta. We saw him almost just let Gamble go off the pit exit, but now back into it and matching pace with everyone around. It's 122.1s all around here as he stays ahead of Wayne Walker and Paul Young. Darren Lobb has caught and then dispatched Troy Stonestreet. So next for him is Matt Vanderkran and Michael Stewart. For Darren Lobb here to get onto the podium would seem very, very unlikely. To be getting to the top 10 is entirely possible with the pace that he's got, more than half a second quicker than Vanderkran last lap.
Part of that perhaps from the fact that Vanderkran is here in behind Michael Stewart. Now, Road Atlanta, do you make... Surely. Yes, it does indeed. Let us bring it up here on the switch. There it is. Red dot adorned upon Road Atlanta. What are we in between there? Got Pocono up top. Is that Coda to its left? I think it is. Actually, if it is, it's a very interestingly...
Yeah, it is. It's
okay.
Coda.
Looks weirdly misshapen, like a connecting roads in there. Anyways, to the right of it, we've got VIR, but then there's some smaller circuit.
I've worked out a trick for this, is that actually, generally, all of the race tracks are in their geographically correct positions. So Albert Park is to the south of Mount Panorama, is to the south of Surface Paradise. Road Atlanta is to the south of Pocono, but is to the north of Sebring. So they're kind of all in their correct geographical world map positions, but with all the gaps in between shrunk.
Yeah, I guess you got Daytona. Yeah, you got Daytona, Sebring, and those two there. Interlagos to the left of Daytona, possibly. Well, it seems like quite a small Interlagos. So maybe we're looking at some tracks there. Oh, we could be at this for ages. Maybe we shouldn't be at this for ages. The only thing I can think of, perhaps, we might not want to do. But
that's my trick.
Fair enough. So thank you once again, Michael, for the zoom wall and the track map.
Per Michael Stewart, it is one of the greatest racetracks in the world. But Van der Kraan and Darren Lobb, I sense this coming. Lobb again, more than half a second quicker than Van der Kraan on the previous lap. Those tyres are 5 laps newer for Darren Lobb if he took another set under the safety car. And Luke Allman side by side coming out of turn 10 with one of the Pacific Esports racing cars. It's John Gallen going to give us a bit of side by side, a couple of rows deep out of the final corner and onto the front straight. Ray Smith versus Chad Lewis, Steve Grumley versus Michael Whiting. Grumley gets out wide. And in the race up the hill, it looks like Chad Lewis is winning. Bit of contact over the crest at 3. You can't cut that one or you'll get a slowdown penalty. Everyone's all good here.
Oh, no. No, they're not. Someone's around.
These are the slowdown penalties they were.
I think. Ah, dear. 2x2 through the top of the S's did not work out. Then 3 wide to turn 6 should resolve itself.
Matt Brunt gets a tiny bit of the grass as Stewie Hall and Gary Buckland go by.
Fighting to try and keep up with tonight is making things a bit of a headache.
Kirby lost a chunk of time on the last lap as well, runs 19th at the moment, just ahead of the Dino Dino and Damien Cairns, behind Travis Hunt and Andrew Rushworth. So there's the work that Kirby's got going on.
Back at this group, Jeff Thomas. Also with us on camera tonight.
As he had been seasons past. Darren Lobb's just gone ahead of Michael Stewart, so he's pulled a few off there, up to 9th now.
Can he catch Paul Youngblood into the race? I think that might be the end of the fighting or positions to recover for Darren based on the margins ahead. As Jeff closes in, but he can't set anything up just yet on the cars in front, which also includes Damien Cairns, who is also with us on the wall tonight. Obviously, it's great to have everyone, but at the same time, short race. It's like, trying to give everyone their time. I mean, we've got 3 drivers on Zoom together. Actually, no, 4. Actually, David's here, so it's 4 in a row. David, Dean, Damien, Jeff, all on cameras with us tonight. Maybe to figure out like a mega wall.
Is behind him.
He's behind them. He's not technically in the battle pack, so I'm going to excuse myself on that one.
Yeah, it's 5 in a row.
5 in a row.
And Matty Mascord, I think, breaks up the chain there.
And maybe we should have been looking backwards from Damien Cairns because Jeff Thomas is right on the bumper into turn 6, and he'll actually give the bumper at turn 7. So there's a hurry up there to Damien Cairns, apparently.
Yeah, not the way to do it. A bit too much contact. Scott Gamble, Eddie Ken Ladder, Logan Barnett. No changes here just yet, but if they battle, if they fight, Darren Lobb is up into 9th, and they across the start-finish line. It says Latta just closed a 10th.5 on Gamble last lap. And there is a black flag out for Ray Smith that makes me wonder if his adventures through the grass, etc., might have put him past the incident point limit, because I'm not seeing a penalty for him from race control. It looks like it's a black flag from iRacing.
Yeah, that does seem to add up, unfortunately, there for him. So a rough night gets worse. Meanwhile, Barnett, can he not become the second driver in the order to finish where he started? He's got 2 laps and some change remaining to alter the outcome of his race. Tucked up behind Gamble and Latta. Has to watch out there for Wayne Walker.
If he passes Scott Gamble, then Gamble will finish where Gamble started. It's a zero-sum game out there, man.
Yes, but that will require maneuverings around Ken Latta too, to be fair.
It looks really close to Ken Latta as they went into turn 1, but the longer you have your stint, the tougher it becomes to carry your speed, braking and turning up the hill there. Front left takes a lot of punishment in any race car around here, because then you're also leaning on it through the medium speed corners in the S's, and 6 and 7 is almost continuous work for the front tyres, braking and then turning and then braking and then turning. Barnett turns in from off the curb to a late apex, square and straight, trying to close in on throttle, but I think Ken Latta's worked that out pretty good as well. Darren Lobb crests in the background there, looming with his Jaws music, and all through the field you find battles in RaceKraft V8 Vets, like Christian Smart racing in VR with Greg Sharp, Stuart Hall looking to make some moves maybe. Gary Buckland and Brunt. Oh no, the safety car's just picked up a meatball flag as we begin the final lap of the race with the leader.
Who kept the motor ticking on the safety car? That's a bit of a, yeah, naughty
Got to keep
moment.
the kilometres off an expensive
Oh,
McLaren
Chad Lewis.
like that.
Chad Lewis has just apparently done himself a bit of mischief. He's got an iRacing black flag on the dying stage of the race, so a bit of doors out there with Jim Caparonis too. Let's quickly have a look at that one here while we can. Down in a 10A, we're tucked up behind Caparonis and Luke Allman. Sorry, Michael Whiting. Oh, so touches. Oh, and then hip, shoulder, door, bang, wibbly, wobbly, all kinds of mess.
For Jordan Ross, he's starting this new season, season 24, how he contested 22 and 23. In the new season, it's going to be 2 wins from 2 races for the reigning champion, Jordan Ross, in V8 Vets. McNamara joins him on the podium with Mike Taliancic. Here's that next little group all together. Darren Lobb, pit stop mistake, a miscalculation or a misunderstanding. 2-stop strategy paying no dividends for him as he finished in 9th.
Oh, drag race.
Dan Hall.
Oh.
Who won that? Dan Hall versus Jeff Thomas, and I think Jeff Thomas pipped him around the outside.
Got him in the grass, by the looks of things. Oh, there's been something over the hill at 10A, 10B. Christian Smart's the next one to get a black flag.
Will it serve?
No, it won't. This is a bit of an error from Christian Smart. He's the last. No, Chad Lewis as a result actually going to get the spot off him when Chad comes around. Because that penalty can't be served on the final lap of the race because you don't get out of the pit lane before crossing the start-finish line, as Christian's on the radio about it. What happened here? Greg Sharp in behind. Pass looks done, but doesn't get it stopped. Unfortunately for Christian, he should have just pressed on there and taken it what may.
Well, a very chaotic but slightly truncated RaceKraft V8 Vets from Road Atlanta. Finishing order now completed. It's Jordan Ross on top from McNamara and Taliancic. Scott Gamble in fourth. Ken Ladder's slight underfueling working out in the end to give him fifth place. Logan Barnett in sixth. Wayne Walker, Paul Young, Darren Lobb and Michael Stewart the top 10. Matt Vanderkraan in 11th. Troy Stone Street in 12th. Wayne Sanderson 13th. Stacey Boyd 14th. Christopher Burridge, Scott Mackay, Andrew Rushworth, Travis Hunt, David Kirby and Dean Flavel the top 20. Damien Cairns finished 21st, Jeff Thomas in 22nd, and Dan Hall, Matty Mascord, Mark Poynton, Sean Van der Meulen, Steve Kennedy, John Gallen, Luke Allman, and Michael Whiting. He had two-stopping Ricky Hyde, Jim Caparonis, Stewie Hall, Gary Buckland, Matt Brunt, Craig Sharp, Chad Lewis, Christian Smart, the last car on the lead lap after all that happened for him in turn 10. And then Ben Morris one lap down. Steve Grumley looking like he'll still be a classified finisher ahead of Ray Smith and Stephen Clark. But those are retirements for David Nash, and Scott McCune didn't qualify and never took the start either.
And I think you stole Mike Taliancic's car number as well, for good measure. He is meant to be here in Split 1, otherwise he wouldn't be showing up in the list here, so keep that in mind that we should hopefully see him at some point in the near future. But David, it's time to talk to our podium driver. So we're going 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. I feel like I ask the question and get the same result regardless, but they're all there waiting for us.
I feel like I'm always 3, 2, 1. So Mike Taliancic is standing by to join us from third. Well, how do you rate all of that overall then?
I guess you're talking to me.
Yes, Mike.
Got dragged halfway through that. Yeah, it was a good race. Just a really, really bad start on my behalf. Had some really strong pace. Had enough pace that I potentially could have taken out pole tonight. But just that getting it off the line was really, really bad. And then those couple of opening laps, I just let pressure get to me and Sean got by. And I couldn't really do much from there because Sean was very good where it mattered tonight.
And where did it matter at Road Atlanta?
Mostly coming onto that back straight where he got me and I got sideways. He didn't make a mistake all night when I was close to him, so good on him for that. That's sort of where you need to get that pass made when you're quite close in skill.
And between yourself and Jordan Ross sort of locking out that 1-2 on the grid, did you learn anything from him? Did he pick any thoughts from you? What was the sort of conversation for the format and everything around how you were going to approach tonight's race?
We're just mostly worried about that early safety car. If there was a safety car on like lap 2, there was quite a lot of fuel we could put in the car, but how much track position you lose. Like when you're up the front, you don't know what anyone else is doing. It's like potentially a big gamble to go in for more fuel when nobody else does, but fortunately there was no safety car, so we didn't have to worry about that until the end where we'd already done our stops.
Well, on the podium, congratulations to you, and looking forward to seeing more of you this season.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on my pace. Getting ready for enduro season, so I'm using vets to try and get myself a bit closer to Jordan, who seems to be the benchmark for quite some time now.
Working on that muscle memory. Who would you like to thank? Who supports you? Who's helped you tonight?
Just all the guys at SSR. They're always there to support. Thanks for everyone that puts on. V8 veterans, it's always a pleasure to be here, and all the race control and you guys putting on the broadcast.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
And second on the podium was Sean McNamara.
Sure was indeed, and you bring him in to join us now, and welcome back to the box, Sean, and good night for you out there once again, up a couple of spots to second place. Obviously, different format tonight than was originally planned, thanks to the good old iRacing maintenance. It sort of made it a pretty same for most of you up front tonight on the strategy at the end of the day.
Yeah, there was a lot of there wasn't obviously a lot of option. I think Scotty went a bit early, but then that hurt him in that second stint towards the end. But yeah, there really wasn't a lot of fuel option, tyre option, obviously with the one stopper. So it was just a case of trying to keep it clean and yeah, keep it clean, tidy. And I feel for Lob because I think he missed the change in the Rex. So yeah, I felt for him. I sort of dropped off when he dropped off the jacks. I still had 20 litres split in the car, and I thought, oh, he's made a boo-boo. But I feel for him because he was quick. But it was a good night.
Yeah, we suspected the same. Unfortunately, had happened. Darren recovers the P9 tonight, so made his way back through from I think it was a 15th or so at the safety car. So he got some spots back, but yeah, maybe a case of what could have been if he was up with you guys as I'm sure he planned. But I guess yeah, at the end of the day, well, what can we do when sort of we're boxed in by the clock tonight? I mean, would you have preferred a two-stop race despite the short length if as an alternate strategy option? Instead, that might have made things a little bit more interesting in terms of how you guys would have executed.
Yeah, I think so. I get it. The league's done a good job with the notice and having to modify things to get us through. But I don't think the second stop would have added. I mean, we've still got 3 minutes left in the server now. You never know how many safety cars you're going to get, of course. But two stops definitely would have spiced it up a fair bit. Would have definitely changed strategy, especially even shortening the race like that. I think it would have really spiced it up. But admin done a good job, and it is what it is.
Indeed, yeah, nothing to take away from them at the end of the day. This whole game of what do you do? How do you change it? And what makes for the best racing all around? But 2 podiums, 2 second places to boot as well for you to start the season, so it's looking good. But of course, still early days, and next week staying here stateside, but off to the streets of Long Beach, and a bit of a different flavour there. What do you think that's going to be like, navigating the concrete canyon?
Looking forward to it. I got redemption there. We had a bit of a safety car bungle, I think last time we were there in the Gen 2 cars. It's feel like that sort of cost me a win. It is what it is, but I'm going back with a bit of a vengeance this one, so it'll be good. And 2 P2s to kick off the season. I'm trying a bunch of different stuff at the moment, trying to close that gap to J Ross. He's just got that little bit, and it was great race with Tally tonight as well. It was wicked down through down the straight early on, side by side, a little bit of contact. It was perfect. So big shout out to those 2 boys.
Well, indeed. It's been great to talk with you once again. Sean, floor's all yours. Who would you like to thank? Anyone you'd like to shout out for helping you get it done tonight here in second place? Yeah,
look, thanks to SimSpeed, all you guys turning up every week as well. Thank you very much for what you do. Everyone in Vets world, admin, community and everything, great bunch of people. And again, well done to J Ross and Tally tonight. It's great to see Tally have a good run and get a qualifying under his belt. 9-5 boys, thank you. Logan had a good run. Sean was a bit misfortunate. Shout out to Dean. He's actually in hospital. He was going to race tonight, but he was en route to the hospital. He's pretty unwell at the moment. So hope you get well soon, mate. And thanks to RaceKraft, RSW Graphics, Track School Race Days, and of course Custom Ear Protection. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sean. Well done once again, and all the best for next week.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
And with that leaves one final man to talk to, the man on top of the podium once again. I'll bring in Jordan Ross and hand it all back to you, David Haynes, to have a chat with our winner once again.
back-to-back race wins to kick off the new season must surely be the best feeling, Jordan.
Yeah, it's good to start the season. I wasn't really feeling comfortable this week on this track, so I ended up doing quite a few laps in practice before the race there, and paid off. Figured out how to drive it finally after doing 40 or 50 laps.
And it worked out to give your team the lockout on the front row. You've picked up the fastest lap and also sort of just looked like you had the right amount of pace at the right times just to, break the toe and everything like that.
Yeah, it was... once I sort of figured out how to drive the car, it was good because you could use the pace, on the safety car restarts or just sort of when you needed it, and then drive sort of just to the gap to keep your tyres on the car in case there was another safety car or whatever. So worked out in the end, but it was good to see Tally up there on the front row with me, and good to see Sean getting P2 as well. We obviously all work pretty close together, so it's good go for all of us, and roll on next week.
If you could only keep one of Road Atlanta and Road America, which one would you keep and which one would you nuke forever?
I'd keep Road America and I'd nuke Road Atlanta.
Fair call. Both of them very silly corner numbers.
What?
No, okay, fair enough. That's just commentator geekery, obviously, in the end. And
yeah, sorry.
strategy-wise, different with like a pretty narrow pit stop window and just the one compulsory stop.
Yeah, I was lucky that I was able to get that gap at the start, so it gave me the luxury of just pitting when the guys behind me pitted. Didn't have to worry about any undercuts or anything. Probably if Darren was closer, like within sort of 1.5 seconds prior to that first stop, I probably would have pitted a little bit earlier. But yeah, also unfortunate for him because he was really fast tonight, and I think he must have just thought it was a 2-stop race and not realise it was 1 CPS. So shame for him, but mate, he'll be back next week, I'm sure.
And I'm sure he'll be back having read all the supplementary regulations far more thoroughly.
Yeah, absolutely. I was onto that late as well. Mike actually came in and told me about that, so I would have probably been in the same boat as him if it wasn't for Tally letting me know.
The word spreads eventually. Congratulations on another dominating performance and extending your lead in the championship this season.
Thanks, mate. And thanks to you guys for once again turning up every week and putting it all on. Obviously the organisers and all the competitors, and congrats to Tally and Sean for the podium tonight.
Beautiful. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
So the whole podium joining us. I think we're going to deliberate live on air again, Dan. Who's Chubby Bunsberger's driver of the day?
I do believe it is time for that discussion. So, rundown of the biggest moves. In fact, once again, the biggest mover of the race. Matty Mascot up 12 spots to 24th. Now, obviously, we aren't in the market for giving out doubles on driver of the day. So just looking towards the pointy end of town, what have we got? Annoyingly, everyone's been pretty chill. I'm looking here.
Pretty good race for Ken Latta.
That's true. Did make that strategy work if we're looking top end of town. +3, 8th to 5th. If we're talking numbers gained, you saw David Kirby fighting earlier in the mid-pack. He actually gained 9 spots to get to 19th tonight. Otherwise, we are fairly small positions gained in terms of a pure race result. But if you're happy, I mean, I have no issues with the Ken Latta nomination. Indeed, made the
Ken Latta. That was a tidy race from the driver inside of the top 10. Used the pit strategy really well to jump a couple as well, and then didn't lose his head when he was battling with Scott Gamble on the outlap. He realised the gains that he'd made through the pit lane and just dropped in there to get himself a nice top 5 for Fishy Motorsports when some of their other drivers had a pretty tough night.
Yeah, I think that says it quite well indeed. Certainly not everyone struggling at Fishy, but Ken once again executing towards the top of the order quite nicely indeed. Well, with
Where are we
that,
headed next week?
as I may have hinted at when speaking there with Sean McNamara, we're staying here in the virtual United States of America, but the concrete canyons in California make up the streets of Long Beach. Down by the port side will be the host of the third round of the championship, and all being well, it'll be, I believe, actually the first time since we've had Long Beach on the schedule in this series that it's going to be a little bit more than 150k, 200 clicks on the schedule is the plan. I think that makes it about 62 laps around this place as a result.
Always a high probability of a safety car. Always really interesting strategy plays out around that, as well as being challenging racetrack with a very fast front straight, but right up against the concrete walls the whole rest of the way around. Lots of shopping opportunities, and there's also a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard. We hope we'll see you then. Thank you to everyone who supports RaceKraft V8 Veterans and our broadcast. RaceKraft, LGC Images, Logitech G, Nova Sim Sports, Player One Sim Gear, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, SimSpeed, and Chubby Buns Burgers. We'll see you next time out at Long Beach.